And we are just seconds away from the Olympia Grid League Championship match between the Orlando Aces and the Fort Lauderdale Lions. 10 seconds, and we are kicking off our partner forward. And they are off. Blatt and Nicole for the Aces in quadrant number 1. These are
Paibas and Guerra for the Fort Lauderdale Lions here. Guerra already on those overhead squats.
And those are double dumbbell overhead squats. They have 8 repetitions apiece. For the ladies, those dumbbells are 20 pounds, and for the men, they are 30. Now moving on to the burpee box jump overs, 8 reps apiece. Boxes at heights of 20 inches for the ladies and 24 for the men.
This is probably one of my favorite partner forward matches, just because those overhead squats kind of get you. You have to keep those arms locked out overhead, make sure you establish that stand up, and you have to make sure you're squatting below parallel.
Absolutely, and if you're just joining us, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube, and you can also ring that bell to get any alerts anytime that a match is kicking off. Now, both teams just wrapping up in quadrant number 1. It looks like the Aces have edged ahead just a bit. Now they are down to 6 repetitions apiece with those double dumbbell overhead squats and burpee box jump overs.
Yep, if you see on the split screen, both of those teams have their coaches on the sidelines yelling at them, making sure those players are standing in their hash box, making sure they're making those good transitions, make sure everything's going nice and fast.
Yes, and once again, as you mentioned, those hash boxes. You see Nicole on the right side of your screen. The repetitions for Blatt would not count if she is not over in those hash marks. Same thing for here. We've got Paibas and Emiliana going for their last set of burpee box jump overs. This height is 30 inches for the ladies and 30 inches for the men.
Fast transitions for them, but it looks like the Orlando Aces are already moving on to the 3rd quadrant, and the Fort Lauderdale Lions still have to make that transition. We're looking here at Angel for the Orlando Aces.
That's right, and now we got
Archangel Andrade, excuse me.
And these teams are split screen right here. You're seeing they're going rep for rep. The Aces have a slight edge over the Lions. Over with the Lions, we've got Marcos Medina and Laura Sanchez trying to play catch up. Right now, they're on the burpee box jump overs. Height for the ladies, 30 inches, 34 inches for the men.
Laura Sanchez on that box. Orlando Aces already moving on to the 4th quadrant. They're going to have to make these transitions a little bit faster if they're going to catch up to the Aces.
That's it, and there's about 2 reps separating these 2 teams. Right now, Aces have their ladies up, and Marcos Medina playing catch up. Now, these are 50-pound dumbbells for the ladies, and 70 pounds for the men. And these burpee box jump overs are 34 inches and 38.
Olivia Scott finishing up her final reps. And the Orlando Aces are going to take this partner forward.
Wow, they got that lead early on. Team coming to celebrate with them. Very excited, of course. And the Fort Lauderdale Lions were also able to complete under the cap. So maybe if this is your first time joining us, 2 points are going to go to the Orlando Aces for winning that race. 1 to the Fort Lauderdale Lions for keeping it under the cap. Still very early, first race of the match.
And what a way to start the match.
100%. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Let's hear a player feature about our Laura Sanchez.
You get so tired, and then you ask yourself why you're doing this. It becomes a relationship, you know? You have another husband, you have a girlfriend, you have like all that. When you prepare to compete in CrossFit, you have to be good at mostly everything. In Grid League, it's not the same, not the same. But in Grid League, you just have to prepare for like what you're really good at. You know, we have like 20 people, and every single person has a role. I'm an utility player, so I can do heavy weights, I can do body weight things, I can do some gymnastics, but we also have gymnastics players, we have weightlifting players. Basically, I'm here in United States because of Grid League. None of these, like me going to the games, would have happened if it wouldn't be because of Gridley.
One of my dreams, it was always to speak English. Like, I really wanted to speak English, but I always lived in South America. Like, I was living in Venezuela, and then I moved to Argentina, and you have to speak Spanish. Like, you didn't have anyone to practice with, you know? Gridley really helped me. I came here first to compete in Gridley, and I was training with an American like every single day, and I just learned. Every time I will read a text, I will try to translate it and like try to see the words that I didn't know, and I will try to like remember it and like learn new words every day, you know. And then I did it. My husband met me because of Gridley. He found like a video of me doing a snatch. He watched that video and then he told me, he said like, damn, who's that girl? He had to reach out to a friend. She told me that a person reached out to her and that he wanted to meet me, and I'm like, weirdo. He went to a competition to say hello, and that was the first time I saw him in person, and I was like, oh God, I fell in love. Love at first sight.
If I'm not doing CrossFit like competitions anymore, I'm gonna do Gridley anyways because it's so much fun. I love it. I want to be seen as a motivation, but also as a person that can help you. I've been training my entire life, and I've always have like athletic body, but I will always like to like wear a small bikini. As a woman, you can be sexy and like feminine and also have muscles.
I'm not old, but I feel like it.
Of course, you can check out all the player features at thefgl.com/players. And we are back live from the Mr. Olympia Expo here in Orlando, Florida. First race down.
First race down, and we're going into that second race, the mirror.
The mirror. And what do they have to expect at home with the mirror race?
So a mirror is gender groups of 3 mirroring each other, performing the same amount of reps per quadrant. So each player is going to complete a certain number of reps in each quadrant. They're going to move on to the next, and they're just going to be using human racks to get those bars from quadrant to quadrant.
All right, and we are just seconds away from kicking off that mirror. And as she mentioned, 40 shoulder to overhead. They're off. What we're gonna see is 10 shoulder to overhead in each quadrant. Now, once that barbell comes off the ground, as you mentioned, Cassie, the barbell cannot go back down. So they will act as human racks, carrying it from quadrant to quadrant, just like you're seeing the Aces here with a slight lead over the Lions, completing their first set of shoulder to overhead.
Aces with a slight lead here, but the Fort Lauderdale Lions looking to come back strong, keeping that steady rhythm here.
That's right, and those barbells, 215 pounds for the gentlemen, 135 for the ladies.
That is Trisha Jansen and Ryan DeMatti here on your screen for the Orlando Aces, both really strong strength players.
Absolutely. Hands are up, only 1 rep remaining. They have a full quadrant lead over the Lions currently. Rodriguez and Emiliana for the Lions. Jansen and Taylar Stallings on the right side of your screen for the Aces, looking to wrap up race number 2 and take back-to-back races in the opening of this championship match. And that's exactly what they've done.
Yep, another win for the Orlando Aces. While the Fort Lauderdale Lions are still here finishing up, they do need to finish underneath that time cap so they could get that 1-point credit.
Absolutely, got to keep that gap as small as possible. Still plenty of races for this match. They've got 20 seconds. We see the referee's hands are in the air, and they are very easily able to keep that under the cap. Once again, that was 40 shoulder to overhead, 215 pounds for the men, 135 for the ladies. The barbell never hit the ground. If it ever, what's that? Sorry.
It was a fast one.
Yeah, super quick. Again, 2 championship teams here. We don't expect them to drop that bar. If they would have, it would have definitely been over. But worked out nicely. Unfortunately, the Lions got way behind early on, and we're about a 10-rep difference.
Right.
Heading into that. So now
the Fort Lauderdale Lions are there. They're talking in a group saying, don't let it phase you. They're kind of just trying to come back from these 2 losses.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't get in your head too early. 11 races today, 2 down, plenty to go, including the ringer point that we have coming up next. This was chosen by the home team, the Lions, and it is going to be 9 ring muscle-ups.
Ooh, I wonder who they're going to put in.
Right, so I think you have that for us, right? Who's coming in for the Lions and the Aces?
So for this ringer point is going to be Paula Leyes and Angel Serrano. Both very skilled bodyweight specialists.
Yeah, and what you'll probably see, these are 9 ring muscle-ups. Usually you catch, ring muscle-ups, as you may know if you're familiar with them, very, very difficult movement. Typically you'll find that for efficiency purposes and time, they end up doing a butterfly ring muscle-up that's the a whole nother level.
Definitely, which is definitely Paula Lea's specialty.
For sure.
I would say.
And I've seen players both doing the butterfly muscle up, but sometimes they add a little shimmy to go for that drop, and that's that extra second that ends up costing them the race. Extra seconds will be very costly, as I said, for this ringer, because I mean it's 9 and done.
100%, Joe, and it's all about getting a rhythm and keeping that rhythm for the 9 and sprinting as fast to the finish line as you can, because ringer points are just people doing their specialty, and whoever's team can do that specialty the fastest.
Yeah, and to be honest, here on the Valor Fitness rigs that they're using, they have these long straps. Depending on where some of these athletes train, might depend on what kind of straps they use, which could make a difference during the race. Now, hopefully at this point and at this stage, they're all practicing with similar straps, or at least finding a place to do so.
Right, such a great point, Joe.
All right, and we are just about 40 seconds away. We've got Angel Serrano right there on the left side of your screen, number 24 for the Aces. And Paula Leyes, number 25 for the Lions.
She's got her playoff hair ready. She's in the look.
All smiles and ready to go.
Game face is on.
Currently, the Orlando Aces leading the Fort Lauderdale Lions 4-2. We're about 20 seconds off.
20 seconds.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Our home ringer point, 9 muscle-ups. Don't move. This is going to be fast. They're off. Serrano and Leyes both heading for the rings at the same time.
Serrano up first.
Yes, he did get that first muscle up in. Now it's going to be about who can cycle through these the quickest. Hands are up. Serrano still with about a 1-rep lead, but you see he's got that swing going that I was talking about.
And Paul Leyes is going to take it all the way to the finish line.
Lions taking their first win of the match. And just like I was talking about, now I don't know where Serrano trains, but those long straps started to give him trouble. He started to get that sway going, and that messes up your kip entirely.
100%, as we said earlier, it's all about getting into that rhythm.
For sure. Well, that was awesome. We're right now, unofficially, Lions are just behind by 1 point. It's 5-1 Aces over Lions. We're going to hear from Slate, and we'll be right back.
lady.
Yeah, it's really good.
It tastes like bacon.
Yeah, the ribeye. Ribeye's my favorite.
I can eat it all day.
Can I take the whole thing? Yeah. Oh, where's that chicken one?
Where's the pork? I'll take the pork.
I did not expect this.
Well, here's the deal. With those two, I'll talk to you.
Once again, thanks very much to one of our sponsors, Carnivore Snacks. Cassie, have you tried those before?
Joe, I'm so glad you asked me because I did try them, and I actually tried last night the chicken sliders.
I haven't had that one.
If you're ever like on the couch and you want like a good snack, it's almost like eating potato chips, but good for you because it's just salt and meat.
Yeah,
Ooh,
I've had
those are so
the
good.
ribeye and the chimichurri, I think it was.
Ooh,
So
I haven't
good.
tried that one. I gotta get some of them.
Absolutely. All right, well, moving on from our home ringer point, we are heading into our Echo. And Cassie, what can the viewers expect at home for our Echo race?
So an Echo is one male, one female on the grid at a time, but only one person completing movements at a time. The players can go ahead and substitute, but there must be only 2 people on the grid at a time. And it's called the Echo because it goes back to back. There's only 45 seconds, and they do the exact same thing once again. So it comes down to a little bit of strategy. It looks like we're going to have hang squat clusters for the men, hang squat cleans for the ladies. We're going into those bar muscle ups, bar facing burpees, and we're going to be seeing some snatches, squat snatches for the men, whichever snatches the ladies want.
Yeah, and with this Echo, as you can see, the barbell is the same for males and females. For the men, the movement just changes. So 95-pound barbell, hang squat cluster. For the ladies, hang squat clean. Everybody's doing bar muscle-ups. Everybody's doing bar-facing burpees. You might even get to see a little bit of waterfall here when it comes to these bar muscle-ups. And we'll talk more about that if it occurs on the grid. Machiavelli on your screen with Rodriguez for the Lions. Over with the Aces, that's Damati.
And Kayla Hollings.
And Hollings. And they're off. Starting off this Echo, they have 30 hang squat cleans or hang squat clusters. That's Machiavelli and Rodriguez for the Lions. Now, typically what I would think is you're going to see the ladies doing some more of the reps because we talked about this yesterday in the Northern Conference Championships in Southern. It's just a faster rotation of the movement. You can get through them a little bit quicker than having to extend that barbell way overhead.
It is a faster range of motion, though if we looked at the speed that Ryan Damati was doing those at, that was so impressive. Also, Recky Rodriguez crushing it in that first quadrant. He's going to be switching out for Paul Moran.
Yep, and handed that bar over to Canning. Canning wrapping up those hang squat cleans at 95 pounds, and it looks like the Aces have already begun. We're looking at Blatt and Nicole now getting ready to do that waterfall technique as we spoke of. This is where you see these players doing one muscle up, waiting for the other, waiting an extension at the top of the rig before heading down into the next rep.
That's right, Joe. Here we have Paul Moran and Emiliana for the Fort Lauderdale Lions, and they are just repping these out, showing people what that waterfall is supposed to look like. This is textbook waterfall strategy.
Absolutely. Referee's hands are up. 2 reps remaining for the Aces. The Aces got a little bit of a head start. There was some confusion for the Lions. That's Emiliana, one of the best in the biz when it comes to these bar-facing burpees. She is going against, right now, David Blatt over with the Aces, who has just now substituted out for Nicole, and now you're looking at Juan Rodriguez, and this is Nicole for the Aces.
It looks like both of the teams are sparing no expense. They are putting their best players for every single race.
Ooh, and a little bit of a crash there. That's Laura Sanchez for the Lions, wrapping up the remaining amount of those bar-facing burpees, and it is going to come down to a snatch or squat snatch competition right now. Marcos Medina and Taylar Stallings going head-to-head. Medina has to do a squat snatch. Stallings has to do a power snatch. The barbell is the same at 115 pounds.
Both of these teams are rep for rep. They both picked up the barbell at the exact same time. This is definitely going to be a buzzer beater moment, Joe.
And I'm wondering if Stallings thinks she's going to go unbroken for this. Nope. Okay, she set down the bar. Chelsea Sellers also going.
And Nate Jansen for the Orlando Aces taking it up. He is just sitting himself in the bottom of that snatch position instead of extending all the way up. That's how strong these athletes are.
Absolutely, and we are waiting for the referees with their black shirts on to put the hands in the air. Whose hand is going to go up first? Hands
up for the Aces.
And we're going to go split screen. This is going to be a photo finish.
And it's going to be a close one.
And Nate Jansen is able to wrap things up for the Aces. Marcos Medina tried everything he could. He was just a few seconds behind, but that doesn't matter because there are 45 seconds and they are going back to the start line and they are doing this one more time.
I don't know what these teams are planning to do, Joe. There's not a lot of strategies that you're able to do, but that came within such a close margin that it's going to be so interesting to see what's going to be done if they're able to maybe make those transitions a little bit faster and just get there on time this time.
Yeah, absolutely, and they are ready to go. They are less than 20 seconds away. We're kicking the exact same thing off again. That's why they call this the Echo, back to back.
Echo.
So we're going to kick things off once again. 30 hang squat cleans or hang squat clusters at 95 pounds. Rodriguez and Paula, Laura Sanchez on your screen for the Lions.
And that's Olivia Scott and Archie on your screen for the Orlando Aces.
Yep, that's Andrade on your screen with Scott. He is moving very quickly, as you mentioned, with those hang squat clusters. Rodriguez moving at just about the same pace.
Yep, that's Reque Rodriguez here on your screen. And on the other side, it looks like the Aces have a little bit of a better strategy here with not doing that full extension, just getting underneath that barbell as fast as they can.
Yep, Scott looked like she's going to probably finish up, maybe tag in Stallings waiting in the wings here, possibly to come out onto the grid. Hand is in the air for the Aces. Oh, and now the Lions.
Rodriguez already starting on his bar muscle up for the Fort Lauderdale Lions. Darren Lasso on the other side for the Orlando Aces. They started at almost the exact same time as the Lions with a slight lead.
And that's Paula Leyes and Rodriguez with that waterfall technique. Lasso and Hollings for the Aces, also with the waterfall, waiting for the hands to go up. They've got 20 total bar muscle-ups here.
Hands up for the Aces, and the Fort Lauderdale Lions are already on their bar-facing burpees. Paul Leyes swinging those as fast as she can.
Receiving a few faults there for not getting her chest to the ground is what it looked like. David Blatt now on your screen. Also another one very, very quick with these bar-facing burpees. Look at him go. That is not sped up, folks.
On the Fort Lauderdale Lions side, we're looking at Paul Moran doing those bar-facing burpees. With such speed, he's opted to face the same side every single time to just not get so dizzy. Emiliana Guerra subbing in for him.
That's right, and once they complete these 30 bar-facing burpees, it will come down to that barbell in quadrant number 4. 115 pounds. They have snatches for the ladies and squat snatches for the men. Marcos Medina has a few rep lead. We are watching him now manhandle that squat snatch at 115 pounds.
Joe, we hardly see a team win a Echo and then lose it in the second time, and it looks like that's going to be happening here. It looks like the Fort Lauderdale Lions have a significant lead here.
Yes, and we actually just heard a fault, so this may or may not help the Aces. Chelsea Sellers on the left side of your screen, Trisha Davis on the right side of your screen, both going rep for rep. Now Nate Jansen and
Marcos Medina.
No, he has tagged out for Rodriguez. Rodriguez back out on the grid with Sellers for the Lions. We are waiting for a hand to go in the air. That'll let us know there are 5 reps remaining.
Both of these teams going extremely fast.
Hands are up for the Lions and for the Aces.
They are rep for rep right now.
And there's a fault. Head referee signifying a fault for the Lions. 1 rep remaining, and the Aces have snuck up and taken the second half of the Echo.
I cannot believe that just happened, Joe. The Lions had a pretty significant lead here going into that last element, and the Orlando Aces ultimately were able to catch up.
So there is a lot of celebrating going on. I do see some talking going on as well before they clear the grid. I'm sure there's going to be a review just to make sure everything is good to go. What it looked like I saw was there were some faults being given on the Lions side. As you mentioned, they had a tremendous lead going into the fourth quadrant. I don't know what was going on exactly, but I did see a lot of hand gesturing, a lot of faults being handed out, ultimately opening the door for the Aces, and now it looks like there's going to be a review before we move on.
Yep, it looks like the commissioner and the referees are referring to each other, and the commissioner is looking back at footage. So we're just going to take a second here to make sure that everything in the spirit of fairness is going well.
For sure, and everything that you see on your screen here is provided by Valor Fitness. From the rigs to the boxes, the barbells, and all the weights, everything provided by Valor Fitness. You can find all of their stuff at valorfitness.com, and also Valor HQ in Pinellas County in the Tampa area.
That's right.
All right, so it has been reviewed. Everything is good to go. The Echo has been squared away. Aces take back-to-back Echo races, and we're going to be right back.
How would that even look? Like, as far as me being a coach, owner, and everything, and then us having to play together, work together, like, this is really going to test our relationship. I told her that she had to try out for the team, and she was our unanimous pick. I was scared and nervous the entire time, leading all the way up until the first match, because I'm intense. I know I'm very intense.
It caught me off guard a little bit, I think, on the first practice. I was like, oh wait, I can't like go over and just give you a kiss or like.
We tried to keep, when we're on the team, in the practice and everything, just 100% business.
As a coach, right, she's so motivational, and like I know for me, like just the way you just pour into people on the day-to-day, and then just still having that energy and all that love to still like bring that into our relationship. It's like 2 different pots, you know? Like I like baking cheesecake, right? I like baking cheesecake, right? So it's like I have to make 2 separate cheesecakes. I have to make one for the family, right? And I make one for home just so that we can have some and she can have some. And that's like, you know, that's our love and support, right? We pour into people on a day-to-day, but like we make sure we have enough to support and pour into each other. So
now I want cheesecake.
I know. We support each other in everything, like all aspects. We both have the same type of background, whether it was college sports, high school sports, all that. There are a lot of days when you do question things and you're like, why do I do this? You know? We are there for each other in that.
We compete with everything.
We do.
We're too high level
even like going to bed at night and turn the light off. Like, it's like...
We pick and choose our battles.
We pick and choose. Yeah,
it's been fun.
It has. You know we have to talk about them.
Better not be what I think it is.
Yes.
We are not talking about it.
Yes.
No.
Why not?
I told you no.
Why not?
I can't.
Come back!
I cannot.
Come back!
I can't.
A lot of people don't go to the doctor because they're afraid the doctor's going to say, stop CrossFitting. We should never be our patient's limiting factor. Our job is to help our patients hit whatever goal they want to with no restrictions. And I think today's healthcare model doesn't allow that because your insurance will limit that. Being in an insurance-based clinic, a lot of times you get restricted on what you can treat, how much of it you can treat, and then half the time people are told, oh, well, it hurts when you do a hip and pull-up, don't do those anymore. Rather than, hey, let's find a way to resolve this so you can go back to doing that. You want to go talk to somebody who does those things and totally understands what you're doing, rather than going to somebody who's never done any of those before and maybe understands biomechanics really well, but if they can't actually physically watch you do it, it's going to be really hard for them to fix that problem. So I would say, if you're dealing with any kind of pain in the gym, we're the people to go to.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Joining us at the Olympia Fitness and Performance Weekend in Orlando, Florida. Grid action coming at you. This is the Olympia Grid League Championship match between the Orlando Aces and the Fort Lauderdale Lions.
That's right.
Sorry.
That's right, Joe. And it looks like we're coming up on the ladder. This is one of my favorite ladders because it is the snatch ladder. So a ladder is basically a rung of bars made to look like a ladder. And as you go down to the finish line, it's going to get heavier and also worth more points since it is harder to do.
That's right. So essentially, as you said, starting in quadrant number 1 with the lightest weight, growing in weight as you work through quadrant. Now, the players will today be working with a snatch ladder. So taking a look at the weights for today. They have, for the men, in quadrant number 1, 195 pounds, building to 215, 235, and ultimately 255 in quadrant number 4. And then for the ladies in quadrant 1, starting at 120 pounds, 135, then 150, and capping off at 165 pounds in quadrant number 4.
Once again, we have that element value there at the end. It's going to be worth more points the more you go down. The ladders are interesting to see because there's different strategies depending on how the teams want to do it. There is a time cap. You can't send all your players. So you want to try to get as many points as possible.
Right. That's 4 minutes to get your team through. Now, they can send 10 players through. They alternate 1 male, then 1 female, back and forth. The goal is to get all 10 through, and of course there's strategy, as you mentioned. Now, yesterday for the conference championships, it was a complex. It was 2 deadlifts and a clean. Today, it is just 1 movement, the snatch. It can be a squat snatch or a power snatch. That part does not matter, and that will obviously depend upon the weight that's being lifted and the person lifting it. With that being said, it's a lot quicker of a turnover as far as movements. So I expect, unlike yesterday, to see all of the players hitting all 4 quadrants rather than opting to skip quadrant number 1 because of the time that it takes and the low value of that lift.
I would have to definitely agree with you, Joe. I think that would be the strategy that I would like to see here today. And because the snatch is such a technical movement, because these players are trying to move so fast to allow their other teammates to also go through these bars, there's a lot of room for error here.
Absolutely. And we are 20 seconds away from kicking off this ladder and the 6th race of today's match. And it looks like Pybus for the Lions will be the first player out on the grid, and Stallings for the Aces. Stallings in quadrant 1, no issue with that bar. Quadrant 2, very, very easy.
You called it, Joe. They both went for that first barbell. It looks like they're trying to get as many points as possible here, just trying to move as quickly as they can.
That's right. And We will see. Wow, Pybus actually dropping quadrant 3. That barbell was 235 pounds, so he will have to exit the grid. And we did see Taylar Stallings clear the grid all the way through quadrants 1 through 4. Laura Sanchez now on your screen for the Lions in quadrant 3. No issue. She'll opt out and skip quadrant 4.
Here we got Olivia Scott for the Orlando Aces. She's making those barbells look light.
Yeah, and that's 135 pounds in quadrant 2, now approaching the 150-pound barbell. Power snatch, no problem. We can assume she will be making an attempt on quadrant 4, and she does it. In the far side of your screen, you also see Eduardo Rodriguez, and
he's going to approach that bar nice and slow, making sure that he's got it, and he does. That was cake.
And Nate Jansen now out on the grid, number 16 for the Orlando Aces in quadrant 3.
And he drops the 3rd bar. He's going to go for that 4th bar.
So I'm a little confused as to what happened there. But maybe we'll get a little word on it.
He got that 4th bar. He did miss the 3rd bar, but that's all right. He's going to take those 4 points. He knew he had it.
And we just caught Emiliana just missing quadrant number 4. She did clear all the other bars before that. Now Marcos Medina on your screen for the Lions in quadrant number 2. 215 pounds. Trisha Davis in quadrant 3 at 150 pounds.
What's always cool about the ladder is that it's hard to keep track of, right? You don't know who wins until the end when they tabulate all the points, figure out who gets it. And it's really cool to see how these players shake out against each other.
And now Damati out on the grid. He's in quadrant 2. He's already knocked down those first 2. We're looking at Chelsea Sellers grabbing that 150-pound bar, power snatch without issue.
Without contact as well. That was crazy.
Essentially, she muscled that bad boy. And now 165 pounds.
And she's going to miss that 4th bar. It's all right. Just moving a little bit too fast, as we said here earlier. Here we got Lacey Boyd for the Orlando Aces and Juan Rodriguez for the Fort Lauderdale Lions. Juan Rodriguez has a very pretty snatch, if I do say so myself.
Yes, he does. And we've got about a minute left for these teams to get all of their players out and through the grid. Boyd standing up the 4th quadrant at 165 pounds. Now Canning out on the grid.
It looks like the Fort Lauderdale Lions are just going to skip that 3rd bar, going straight for the 2nd through 4th. Katie Canning going for that 4th.
Yes, and this is
beautiful snatch from Canning, and she's going to take it to the finish line.
And they are adding up all of the points for every successful lift. You get the equivalent of points to the quadrant you're in. So for this lift for Nicole, quadrant 3, 3 points awarded. Bang for the Aces. Moran, quadrant 2, just missing it, shooting out from under the bar. He will try to get off there. Now we're looking at Blatt for the Aces in quadrant number 1.
We have just 15 seconds left, so it's best that these players just go to the bars that they know that they can complete and try their best.
And the Lions, that's Paula Leyes on your screen, looking a little defeated, but no issue there.
We're still waiting for the score to be tabulated here. And as we said before, this is a moment where these teams just try their best. It's really fast moving and it's really exciting to watch. In the meantime, while the equipment is being moved, I'm here joined by Matt Hornaday, coach and owner of the Palm Beach Breakers. How you doing today, Matt?
Doing great, doing great. I'm excited to be here. This match has been insane so far. The echoes, I've literally had goosebumps all over. I saw fans jumping out of their seats, just cheering. Like, this is the electricity that you see in grid.
100%. So, Matt, we had the snatch ladder here today, and it looks like all the teams started on the 1st bar. We were talking a little bit about strategy. Is that something that you would try with the Breakers, starting on that 1st bar instead of starting at maybe the 2nd or 3rd bar for this race?
So, in this particular race, there's a lot of strong females and males as the league has continued to progress, right?
Yes.
So like earlier years in the league, you would see a lot of people skipping that first bar. Now these athletes are getting through bars 1 through 4 in less than 26 seconds, which means you can get pretty much the whole team through. And so as long as you have an athlete that can do that in that amount of time, you always have them start with 1 and continue all the way through 4. Of course, they got to be able to hit all those bars as well.
Right. Definitely. We were also talking about it being such a technical movement, and you're under such pressure trying to move as fast down the lane. In this particular one, the snatch versus something like a clean or a thruster, what would you tell your team about how to handle that?
So the difference between the two is that you want to make sure that you're set up correctly on that snatch, right? So you take about a half a second more getting lined up on that bar, because the thing is with a clean, you can fail it a little bit, right? You can mess up a little bit and still catch it. With the snatch, it's not happening. You slip on that snatch and it's gone.
100%. Is there anything else that you'd like to say? Anything to look forward to for next season for the Breakers? Anything you want to tell me? We're coming.
The league, we're coming. We're excited for the Aces. This is their first time in the championship. I believe, if I'm correct, they went undefeated throughout the regular season as well. And so we look up to them because they've done a phenomenal job, but we're coming.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Matt, and enjoy the rest of the match.
All right, thanks for having me.
And we are here. It looks like we are going to be hitting a ringer point. This is going to be the yoke carry ringer point. This is the ringer point that the Orlando Aces chose. We are going to have Ryan DeMatti for the Aces and Eduardo Rodriguez for the Fort Lauderdale Lions. How excited are you about this, Joe?
I'm fired up. This is really fun. Now, I've seen these a few times with the yoke carry. It's slow is smooth, smooth is fast. You got to get across the grid. It's 80 feet as quickly as possible, but I have seen spin outs before. I'm sure you have. If you've watched any of the past matches, they get going a little too hot, and then all of a sudden the weight starts to shift, and total spin out race is over.
I know I keep on saying this today, but these are the most exciting races for a reason. And the yoke carry is one of the best ones to watch. Ryan DeMatti is a very skilled strength specialist, as well as Eduardo Rodriguez is just going to be who's the fastest, who's the steadiest, who can keep their shoulders the straightest, while literally sprinting with so much weight on your back to that finish line.
500 pounds to be exact.
Can you deadlift 500 pounds?
No, I cannot.
I can deadlift almost half of 500 pounds.
I'm just a little over 4, and that is good enough for me.
Oh, there you go. All right, we got to get you here on the grid.
No. Many years ago, no more. I like being here and watching.
Fair. I like being next to you and talking to you.
All right, folks. Well, we are just moments away. They're just strapping in the weights, making sure everything is good as far as the height of the yoke. There we go. We got a little view. That's DeMatti on your screen. And Rodriguez for the Lions.
It looks like we got the final score for that ladder.
Right now, the Orlando Aces are leading the Lions 11-6. We are just now getting report of the score from the ladder, and
it looks like it was 77-54. The Orlando Aces took that ladder by a margin of more than 10 points, so the Lions will not be receiving credit for that race.
That's right. 2 points will go to the Aces for winning the race, and because they won by a margin of 10 points or greater, there will be 0 points awarded to the Lions, ultimately leaving the score that you see right there on your screen, 11-6. Aces over the Lions, and we have just 5 races remaining, including what you're about to see here, this away ringer point.
Now, this is one that the Orlando Aces chose, so they have to be feeling pretty confident in DeMatti's skills to be able to do faster than the Lions can.
Absolutely, and I'm surprised they haven't tried to put a nail in the coffin with the bonus flag, with that being said, but they have not. So here we are, 3 seconds out. And there they go, both gentlemen going as quickly as humanly possible across this grid. DeMatti absolutely demolishing this yoke carry, and he will go for a sliding finish. Rodriguez still trying to finish under the time. Now, a little thing that we didn't touch on, the ringer point. Aces take that. DeMatti absolutely destroyed that, made it look like it weighed 100 pounds, not 500 pounds. But when it comes to awarding points, 2 points going to the Aces for winning that race. As we spoke, anytime you win a race, 2 points. If the Lions did not finish within 20% of the time it took to finish that race, then they get 0 points. And I can tell you, unofficially, but just with the eye test, that they're not going to be receiving points for that, because Rodriguez was only through quadrant number 2 by the time DeMatti was done.
I have to agree with you, Joe, and it's going to take a lot out of the Lions to try to catch up in this match here.
That's right. And Al, we're going to hear from one of our sponsors, Innovate, and we'll be right back with our Jack and Jill.
Peachy athletic shorts, guys. Just saying. Looking peachy.
And the peaches are great. They're really stretchy. They're soft.
I like the fit. I like the fabric. It makes me just feel more comfortable while I'm working out. I don't have to worry about things coming out.
Love training in these shorts. Love competing in the shorts. They stay put. Got a really nice thick waistband.
They definitely pass the squat test and the booty test. They're really comfortable. Like I could wear them out and I could wear them on the floor.
But still feel covered, but able to do all the movements.
Go get yourself some.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are live here in Orlando, Florida at the Olympia Grid League Championship match. 7 races down, 4 races to go. Currently, the Aces are leading the Lions, and we are looking ahead to Jack and Jill, the next race of the match. Cassie, what can the viewers at home expect with Jack and Jill?
Well, Jack and Jill is called Jack and Jill because it's one male, one female working together to complete a race. There's 3 stations of body weight elements, and the elements are going to increase in difficulty and decrease in reps as they go down the grid. The players can substitute by gender at any time. As for the elements that we have here today, we have 60 chest bars, 30 double touches, and 15 triple touches. They're going to be working together to make sure those are completed as fast as possible.
And as you can see on the top of the screen, match format is named Triple Trouble for this reason. The triple touch in the Jack and Jill and the triple extension of the snatches that we saw in the ladder, where you have to have full extension of that barbell overhead.
That's right.
Again, attributing to the match format name. So we are just about a minute away from kicking off this Jack and Jill. Unlike yesterday, that was a handstand walk with the med ball and handstand sled drag. Today we've got the rig involved. chest to bar pull-ups, double touch, and triple touch.
Whew, those are going to be hard ones. Notable mention here today, the Fort Lauderdale Lions do not have Eric Cardona on their roster. He had a prior commitment. But not to say that they don't have an absolutely stacked gymnastics squad. This is going to be a really tough one to watch.
Yeah, and it doesn't so much happen in the beginning. You could be way ahead when it comes to these chest to bar. There's 60 of them. You're going to see this waterfall technique that we talked about with Jack and Jill. It's when you get to the end, the double touch, the triple touch. It's a toe to bar, a chest to bar, and a bar muscle up. And if you miss one of those elements during that complex, you have to start over. It is a fault. It does not count. Lasso and Durant on your screen for the aces. On the right side of the screen, Canning and Rodriguez. Both teams getting up on the rig to start chipping away. And as we said, waterfall technique, knocking out 60 chest to bar pull-ups.
Lasso and Durant looking really strong here. They are very highly skilled gymnastics specialists. Canning and Rodriguez also repping those out. It's hard to tell who's ahead at this point. It's so fast moving.
Absolutely. So we rely on our referees. You can see them in the black polos on the grid. Hands will go in the air when 5 reps are remaining. Lasso and Boyd. Now Lasso heading off the grid to substitute. We can see Canning now also with a substitution, leaving Juan Rodriguez to continue chipping away at those chest to bar.
It looks like Lacey Boyd and David Blatt have joined the fold for the Orlando Aces. Boyd is going to go tag out for Mega Medeiros, getting ready for those triple touches. She's relying on Blatt to finish those chest to bars.
Well, now Blatt is on to the double touch. Yes, you were right. He had a few of the chest to bar. Then he went right in to the double touch, which is a toe to bar into a chest to bar. You can see all players pretty efficient at this part in the race. As I said, it's going to come down to those last 15 triple touches. Now Moran on your screen.
Paul Moran looking really strong on these double touches. He has such a short range of motion here, and that makes him so effective at all these gymnastics movements.
For sure. David Blatt now on your screen, hand in the air from the referee. 1 rep remaining, which means the Aces are now on to their triple touch.
Jordan Vanover and Emi Guerra trying to hit that waterfall here. Little trouble getting that rhythm. One of them is going to be waiting at the top while the other completes the element.
That's it. Yeah, and this just gives you a little bit of rest. Not necessarily as efficient, but you have to stand in full extension above that bar. 15 reps of this triple touch. So we are waiting to see referees' hands go in the air. They are up for both teams. It looks like the Aces have about a 1 rep lead over the Lions.
There is just, slight miscommunication from Coach Jamie Gold here for the Fort Lauderdale Lions.
And the Aces are going to finish this Jack and Jill with just 1 rep remaining for the Lions. And it looks like there might be some questioning of what's going on. The celebrating continues for the Aces as they continue to stack points up against these Lions. Wow, so
slight upset from the Lions here, rightfully so. They really need to make up some ground. This is a tough lead that the Aces have here.
Yeah, they've built quite a lead. We haven't seen any bonus flags, so still very, there's still an opportunity, but the window is getting smaller.
Definitely, well said.
With that being said, we just wrapped our Jack and Jill. We'll be right back. We're going to hear from AGT, and then we'll have our female triad.
If you thought about joining a grid team, this is for you. Grid League is a high-speed, high-adrenaline, exciting team sport that showcases a wide range of athletic types from heavyweight strength specialists to light and speedy bodyweight specialists and everything in between, including well-rounded utility players.
Can't explain the experience with my words because you have to be here to really experience what it is.
Grid League is a true team sport in every sense. It brings back the feeling of team camaraderie in a new and powerful way. As never before have men and women been showcased together in a true large team sport like this. It's the team sport experience elevated in an incredible and powerful way. Showcase your hard work on the big stage, earn sponsorship deals, receive official Grid League gear and products, and battle it out with your team for that championship prize. Your chance to earn the right to sign to a Grid League team happens once a year in the American Grid Trials. This online combine features several tests focused on a wide range of skill sets, and each with a prize. Only perform the tests you feel best exhibit your abilities, and there is no overall score. For the first time ever, prospective players can reserve their spot in the American Grid Trials far in advance. At the lowest price it will be offered all year, just $16, you can sign up for the trials. Plus, receive a bonus package at sign up that includes 150 grid training workouts from all 3 positions, including progressions for high-skill Grid League movements, an e-book that explains the Grid League race rule basics you'll need to know, access to our online training portal for our staff and referees to learn details about Grid League rules, an exclusive discount for prospective players to all remaining Grid League events in 2023, a Grid League sponsor coupon book worth hundreds in savings for the latest and best products in the fitness space. This is over $120 value for just $16. But more importantly, you'll be taking that first step to seeing your daily hard work shine on the grid and feeling the excitement of celebrating victory with your team. Don't wait, as the price will increase each month until the trials kick off in 2024. Take advantage of the best deal you can get right now and make the commitment to yourself. See you on the grid. Head to thefgl.com/play or the link in the caption below to get started.
I see everyone that they can meal prep on weekends. That's perfect. But I don't usually have that time because that weekend I used to program my clients and everything, and just having my weekly box coming up, it's just like perfect because I really can like take advantage of those days, and I'm not just cooking and then programming again and then I have to come back and cooking, because that things take like 3 or 4 hours to cook. I really love Rebel because it's super helpful. I usually choose the performance plan because it's non-dairy, it's gluten-free, and it's soy-free. When you eat to perform, those points are so important. Like, there's a lot of things that you have to keep in mind because we literally eat to perform.
Party people, welcome back. Coming to you live in Orlando, Florida, the Olympia Grid League Championship match between the Orlando Aces and the Fort Lauderdale Lions. And so far, the Aces have been somewhat running away with this thing.
Looks like it, Joe. The Aces are going to have to do some pretty big damage here to try to have that chance.
Yes, damage control is going to be number one. We've got 3 races left. Includes the female triad, the male triad, and the sprint relay. What can the viewers at home expect from that female triad?
So this is called the triad because it's 3 people working at the same time, trying to complete reps on stations, not necessarily on people. So they can substitute out at any time as long as a specific barbell or a specific bar has specific number of elements completed on it, then that will count. Now this will be all female triad, and here's what we have today for the elements. We have 15 ground to overheads at 85 pounds. Then we're going into those handstand push-ups, D-ball squats at 100 pounds. Try to get that up on your shoulder squat with it. We're going to do 4 ring muscle-ups and 15 deadlifts at 205 pounds.
Yep, and as you mentioned with this race, it's 3 stations for each of the elements that you see on the screen. Now, 3 players will be out chipping away, for instance, at these 15 ground to overhead. If one player is finished and the other player is struggling, they can step over and help them in that area. They can also substitute at any time. The only thing they cannot do is move on from element to element until all 3 of the stations in said element is completed.
That's right, Joe.
And now we are about 30 seconds away from our female triad. Fort Lauderdale Lions on your screen, Orlando Aces. We're looking at Taylar Stallings, Lacey Boyd, and Megan Medeiros for the Aces, ready to kick off their ground to overhead. Canning, Guerra, and Lavallee for the Lions. And they're off. Both teams on your screen, ground to overhead, as efficient as possible. They could technically clean and jerk, but that would be a waste of time. So you will see a power snatch or muscle snatch of some sort.
Yep, looks like Canning's going to substitute in for Paula. She's doing clean and jerks for her ground to overhead. She's more of a body weight specialist, so that's a little bit more her speed. Maybe getting somebody else a little bit of rest here.
Yeah, and they got to be thinking about what they need to do later. So technically, they may need their arms for these handstand push-ups, because that's where they've gone now. Both teams chipping away at 15 handstand push-ups in each of those 3 areas.
Over on the Orlando Aces, Nicole, Medeiros, and Scott doing those handstand push-ups, but it looks like the Fort Lauderdale Lions have already moved on to the D-ball squats.
And now they have to shoulder 100-pound balls and complete 15 squats. I don't expect to see many substitutions here, unless, of course, the person coming up next is planning on doing the muscle-ups.
This is a really hard one because it's uneven weight distribution. It's really heavy. It's really awkward to grab. You have to make sure you get below parallel. There's so many things that could go wrong here, but it looks like all of these players are doing it very efficiently.
That's it, and the Lions are complete. They've got muscle-ups. Lavallee with a little confusion. She's going to run off and substitute out. We've got Laura Sanchez and Katie Canning and Paula Leyes on your screen for the Lions. Over with the Aces, that's Nicole at the front, Durant and Megan Medeiros. They have 4 ring muscle-ups. And it looks like the Aces have snuck ahead. Aces, we've got Sanchez, Canning, and Lavallee chipping away now at 15 deadlifts. This might be their opportunity to turn the tide.
Really big lead by the Lions here with only just a few reps to go. Ace is trying to catch up here.
And a substitution is taking place. Lavallee heading off of the grid. Emiliana coming in. Hands are up for the Lions, but they are also up for the Aces. We're going to go split screen. There it is. And there's a few reps remaining. 1 rep. Can they finish? Wow! And the Lions just sneak in by maybe 2 seconds on that race. Holy cow.
Ooh, the Aces almost caught up there, but the Lions were able to take it and run with it.
Absolutely. That was a tight race. They were neck and neck the whole way through. It came down to those deadlifts. And that was just absolutely insane. Now we have the male triad that's coming up shortly. They're going to reset the grid. It's going to be all the same movements that we saw. The ground to overhead, the handstand push-ups. They will have D-ball squats, but it'll be at a 150-pound ball that they're going to be shouldering. 7 ring muscle-ups rather than 4, and then 15 deadlifts at 295 pounds. Just 2 races remaining in this championship match today. And right now, we're going to go over to Cassie. She's with the winning team with a little interview for you.
I'm here with Emiliana from the Fort Lauderdale Lions. Emiliana, how are you feeling after that female triad?
Oh, that was hard. I didn't expect to do the last deadlift. That was not on the plan, but that's part of the grid league. We are a team, so we have to help each other. I was looking one of my teammates hard on the deadlift, was like, I will put my belt on, I will run, and that's what we did, and we win this one, so that helped.
Were you able to communicate with Coach Jamie, or was it more like a put me in, coach, I got this is my jam, and I'm able to do this?
I mean, I don't long working out with this team, so it was more of my part. I know that we are a team, we have to help each other. I just see her that she was 9, and I just grabbed my bat and jump in. So that's a part of the team, you know?
I love it. That's such great awareness for your team and knowing what you have to do in order to get the win. I applaud you for that, and good luck on the rest of your match. Back to you, Joe, at the table.
Thank you very much, Cassie and Emmy, for that interview. Now, looking ahead, we are not far from the male triad. We're resetting the grid. We'll be right back. We're going to hear from the box doc, and then we will have the male triad.
A lot of people don't go to the doctor because they're afraid the doctor's going to say, stop CrossFitting. We should never be our patient's limiting factor. Our job is to help our patients hit whatever goal they want to with no restrictions. And I think today's healthcare model doesn't allow that because your insurance will limit that. Being in an insurance-based clinic, a lot of times you get restricted on what you can treat, how much of it you can treat. And then half the time people are told, oh, well, it hurts when you do a kipping pull-up. Don't do those anymore. Rather than, hey, you know, let's find a way to resolve this so you can go back to doing that. You want to go talk to somebody who does those things and totally understands what you're doing, rather than going to somebody who's never done any of it before and maybe understands biomechanics really well, but if they can't actually physically watch you do it, it's going to be really hard for them to fix that problem. So I would say, you know, if you're dealing with any kind of pain in the gym, we're the people to go to.
Introducing the LumaFlex Body Pro, a disruptive FDA Class II cleared red light therapy panel that's set to transform the way you experience wellness. It's flexible. The panel can elegantly wrap around your muscles and joints, maximizing treatment to the affected areas. This device is the essence of portability. Easy to charge, easy to use, and designed for accessibility anytime, anywhere. The LumaFlex Body Pro is remarkably durable, capable of withstanding over 100 kgs worth of pressure. And here's the kicker. It's fully waterproof. As industry creators, we brought the latest research to life, making red light therapy accessible to the masses. LumaFlex Body Pro, a revolutionary step towards a healthier, pain-free you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Catching on with our last two races of the match. The male triad and the sprint relay. What do we have for the male triad, Cassie?
Well, it's basically going to be the same elements that we just saw. It's just going to be different weights and maybe different reps here. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the elements are. The ground to overhead for the men is going to be 125. The D-ball squat is going to change to 150 pounds. The ring muscle ups, the men are going to do 7, and the deadlifts are going to be 295 pounds for 15 reps.
That's right. So essentially all the same movements, a little bit of increased weight, and of course the muscle ups have gone up from 4 to 7 reps. We're about a minute away from our second to last race of the match. Currently, the Aces are leading 16-9. The Lions were able to shorten that gap a little bit between them. So 7 points separate them. 2 races, still not out of reach fully, but we're going to have to see a little fumbling from the Aces if it's going to help if the Lions are going to have a chance. And of course, the Lions are going to have to win that race.
Definitely the Lions are going to have to win, and probably the Aces are going to have an incomplete for them to come back.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly what I was getting at. So 20 seconds away, Marcos Medina, Vanover, and Rodriguez for the Lions. And for the Aces, we have Damati, Alvarez,
and Hollings. Alex Velez and Hollings.
And these two teams are off. They have 15 ground to overhead at 125 pounds. You're going to see them doing a muscle or power snatch of some sort. Marcos Medina, muscle snatching, not looking like he's working at all there.
Jonathan Vanover having that close grip snatch. He's just so strong that he can do that and rep it out, no problem.
And now we're looking at Lasso, Hollings, and Damati.
It looks like they substituted Lasso in. They're going to be needing him for these next gymnastics movements. They're moving on to those handstand push-ups.
That's right, 15 handstand push-ups in each of those 3 sections. Aces and Lions are both repping away. Some of the players on the Lions opting to go with a strict handstand push-up rather than a kip. Might be quicker for him to do that, not sure. One fault was given there for the Lions. And it looks like the Aces have just slightly gotten ahead. They have shouldered 150-pound D-balls and have begun to chip away at those 15 D-ball squats.
Slight miscommunication here from the Lions. Juan Pablo getting into the handstand push-ups to make up for his teammate as the Aces are already finishing up their D-ball squats.
Yep, and it looks like there was just another communication breakdown. This might be, also that we don't see Eric Cardona out there. Typically, you'd see him as part of the team helping to chip away at those handstand push-ups. So
right.
A little trouble there with the body weight movements today.
We have Angel Serrano, Darren Lasso, and Alex Velez of the Orlando Aces already on their muscle-ups, looking strong at them.
Yeah, and they only have a few reps remaining. Now, the Lions are just finishing up with 3 reps for those D-ball squats, and we will go over to the Aces, making their substitutions, bringing in the big boys, Hollings, Damati, and Serrano. Deadlifts, 15 of them at 295 pounds.
Lions having moved on to their muscle-ups, but it looks like the Aces are going to run away with this race.
Sure does. Hands are already up from the referees for the Aces. They've got just 4 or 5 reps remaining in each of their stations, and it looks like Damati, Serrano, and Hollings are going to celebrate as they have taken this male triad. And we'll go over to the Lions as they are trying to finish repping out their last their last reps of this element.
Yeah, it looks like they have a little over a minute to complete these, so they're not super going too fast or anything. They're just taking it easy. They still have that sprint relay to go.
Yep, and they will finish with plenty of time. The Orlando Aces celebrating, heading back to the start line. I don't know what to say. I mean, the Orlando Aces, they went undefeated the entire season. They handed the Fort Lauderdale Lions their only loss, as you mentioned earlier.
That's right.
And it's looking like they may be handing off the only other loss to the Lions. Now, that's unofficial, of course. I mean, I don't even know what to say. They are short one guy. The Lions, I don't think that's going to be the make or break for them, but
it does come down to there's just not enough room for them to come back at this point. And it looks like they're still going to try their best. Again, the Fort Lauderdale Lions were the 2022 champions. There's a lot to be said about the respect and love that they have for this game. And it just shows in everything they do and how passionate they are, even going through a loss like this.
Absolutely. And we've got the sprint relay coming up. It's the last race of our Olympia Grid League Championship match. We'll be right back. We're going to hear from CrossFit SoFlo and Grid Wars.
Grid Wars! Yeah, baby!
Excited. This is going to be fun. I like stuff like this. Being able to coach and get people into it and have them have the first grid experience, it's going to be a good time.
Nervous, excited, never done this.
Really nervous, but it's going to be fun. Wish me luck.
Kill it.
1, 2, 3, Junior!
That was the spark we needed.
It's electric in the air, baby.
Now we can do the mini grid.
Was amazing. The race was so funny.
All comes down to this, Mike. Let's go.
I think we're going to be all right. And once we win this one, we win the whole thing.
No, back away.
That's sportsmanship over here.
Fuck you! Pretty much gonna do the whole thing, and then I'm gonna run across and win. What'd you do? Come on. What happened? I'm just kidding, but I love you.
6 a.m. 6 a.m. Forever the best. She beat me. Champ.
My name is Lacey Boyd. I am a utility player for the Orlando Aces. I tore my ACL during one of the grid races called the Mirror. It was 10 hang power clean, but on the 8th or 9th rep, I felt like a pop in my knee, and I was like, well, that's not good. But I just kept going and didn't really think anything of it because I've never been injured before.
The video that she showed seemed like a very minor injury. However, she tore her ACL. She tore her meniscus. She had a displaced bucket handle tear, which is a serious issue. As a former CrossFitter and a former athlete and a sports-trained orthopedic surgeon, that's an important part of what I do as a sports medicine physician. Is I look at the athlete's specific sport, the movements that are involved, and we tailor the rehab to get people back to their particular sport.
If you get injured, take the time your body needs to recover. Be very patient with yourself, both physically and emotionally. It's really like, you kind of feel like you're alone when it happens initially because like none of your other friends or family are feeling the way that you do. You feel like not helpless, but in a sense you feel like you lost your independence at the time, but just listen to yourself, listen to your doctor, and it's just a minor setback to fling you forward. It's all gonna end up better than what you expected.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are bringing live grid action to you from Orlando, Florida, here at the Mr. Olympia Expo. And we have one race remaining between the Orlando Aces and the Fort Lauderdale Lions with this Olympia Grid League Match Championship. And coming up next is your sprint relay. What can they expect to see with this sprint relay?
Sprint relay is our last race of each match. It's a relay race in which 4 males, 4 females must finish 8 elements. The players may substitute at any time, but whoever completes that last rep must be the one to 4-point touch at the start line and run into that finish line. As for the elements, we have 100-pound thrusters, pull-ups, 35-pound dumbbell devil's presses, a 400-pound farmer carry, some bar-facing burpees, backward roll to support, 10-inch deficit handstand push-ups, and 100-pound thrusters.
That's right, and you can see on the front end and back end, they've got 25 thrusters. Now, each of those bars are 100 pounds. It's with a female bar, but it can be a male or female that completes any of the elements that you see on the screen.
That's right, Joe. One of the movements that I'm looking forward to seeing is the backward roll to support. That's always a fun one to see, and it's always an easy one to mess up as well.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. I have tried it once or twice, just being that high off the ground and having to rotate on the rings. Kind of sketchy, but in any event, it's going to be fun to watch because they are very good at it.
100%.
Now we are about 30 seconds away. As you can see there on the screen, Aces leading the Lions 18-10 in our final match of the season. 20 seconds, and we will be crowning our 2023 Grid League champions.
It looks like Nate Jansen is going to be the one stepping up for the Orlando Aces, maybe to finish up some reps to hand it off to somebody else.
That's right.
He's usually a closer in these races.
And they are off. Rodriguez for the Lions and Jansen for the Aces. Now going after these 25 thrusters at 100 pounds. And as you mentioned before now, they can go all the way up to 24 reps. If they finish the 25th rep, then they must make 4 points of contact on the start line and sprint through the finish before allowing another player out on the grid. Now look at Marcos Medina repping away at those thrusters.
Both teams looking strong. Maybe the Fort Lauderdale's with a little bit of a shorter range of motion since Nate Jansen is pretty tall. Taylar Stallings finishing up that last rep, 4-point touch. Both of them are running into the finish line.
And Taylar Stalling all smiles as she knows what's coming at the end of this race. But right now we've got Katie Canning, Lions just ahead of the Aces in the sprint relay, and she is knocking out 25 pull-ups. Lacey Boyd now on your screen for the Aces.
Both of them looking really strong here. I believe Canning made it to the bars first, so maybe just a slight lead here.
Yep, and she's done. Canning with the 4 points of contact. She is sprinting across the grid to head to the finish line to allow now
Austin Lavallee here for the Fort Lauderdale Lions doing those devil's presses.
And those are 35-pound dumbbells in each of her hands. That's essentially a burpee and a double dumbbell snatch.
Which if you see her on Instagram at all, this is her jam. She does these all the time for fun, probably.
And Alex Velez on your left side of your screen. Lavallee on your right side. Hand is up for both players.
Both of these players looking really strong. Alex Velez is actually able to make up a ton of time here.
That's right, and he did. Now both of them heading back to the start line. They are racing to the finish. Coming up next is this farmer carry, 200 pounds in each hand. Hollings for the Aces, Rodriguez for the Lions. Both of those gentlemen finished right around the same time. Nicole is out on the ground for the Aces, knocking out these 15 bar-facing burpees.
The Aces were able to make up some serious time here. Both of them sending out their fastest burpee specialist.
That's right, and that's Emiliana for the Lions, knocking out her 15 bar-facing burpees. Both ladies done right around the same time. Nicole with just a slight edge over Guerra. And now, both teams sending out their players. That is Paula Leyes, one of the best bodyweight specialists in the league, going to these backward roll to support. And on the back side of your screen there, that is Angel Serrano. Serrano already done with his 4 backward roll to support.
Paula is close behind. She's going to hit that 4-point touch and zoom it into the finish line as Medeiros comes out for the Orlando Aces to hit those handstand push-ups.
That's right, and that is a 10-inch deficit handstand push-up. So if you think handstand push-ups or just push-ups are hard, imagine being at a deficit of 10 inches. And they have 7 reps there before heading to the final quadrant number 4, and this will be it. Damati is out on the floor for the Aces. He is going to begin. He's got 25 reps at 100 pounds.
And that's Jonathan Vanover for the Fort Lauderdale Lions trying to make his way over to the bar as fast as he can. And he's trying to rep them faster than Damati can.
Let's see who will take this sprint relay. Damati with just about a 2 or 3 rep lead over Vanover.
No hands up yet so far. Hand up for the Orlando Aces. Nate Jansen has just 1 rep left, and he's going to drop that bar, run back to the start line, hit that 4-point touch.
And it looks like Vanover's got 2 reps, last rep as DeMatti with the Naruto run, and he's going to go into the embrace of the Orlando Aces, your 2023 Grid League champions.
This is the Orlando Aces' very first appearance in the championship, and they took it all the way home. Such a dominant showing from them.
Absolutely. I mean, undefeated throughout the season. During the the interconference matches, the Aces faced the Lions. They are the only ones to hand the Lions the first loss of the season, and ultimately now have handed the Lions a second loss of the season, and they are going to take the title of 2023 Grid League champions.
A little bit of melancholy here for the Lions, but they are a strong team. They absolutely dominated the Southern Conference, and they were the 2022 champions.